I traveled to Northern California with my family, and at the park, there was a little girl at my age. She was curious about the thing on my hand because I have a really cool temporary tattoo on my hand. She asked me, what's that? But at that time, I couldn't understand a single word that she talked. So I running back to my mom and tell her, I want to learn English.
So cute, so cute. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show today. My name is John Drummond, or Yang Haoen.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎各位再度来到 NG 英文，我是 Angela.
We have a great episode for you today with my new friend Emily, who is known around the Taiwanese community as Emily Chow, or Everything About Emily.
没错，今天我们有位特别来宾到节目上跟大家分享航空界鲜为人知却又非常重要的工作领域。如果你刚好对航空业有兴趣的话，那可要打开耳朵专心听咯。
My guest today is Taiwanese American. She is an EVA Airlines dispatcher, blogger, mother, content creator, and so much more. So everyone, please welcome my new friend, Emily.
Hello, everyone. It's Emily here.
What's up, Emily? Thank you for joining us today on NG 英文.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Emily, you have a really cool story. You have been listening to our show every Wednesday when you would drive to work with EVA Airlines. Is that right?
Yes, that's the only thing I hear about on the way to work.
I'm sorry you have to listen to me blah, blah, blah all day on the way to work, but I'm so happy because you reached out to us and you were like, hey, yes. I listened to the show and I would love to come share about my story. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's really good for me to be on this cool show, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and you are a perfect example of what this show likes because you're using English for your job, and yeah, English was not your native language. So I would love to share a little bit about your job. You are a dispatcher for EVA Airlines. So can you give a little introduction?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working as an airline dispatcher for 7 years. Well, my hobby is not only dispatch. My hobby also includes cooking, traveling, and blogging. And so before the pandemic, I always loved to travel. And my favorite thing to do is to planning my next food adventure. But nowadays, my 1.5-year-old son keeps me really busy most of the time.
Yeah, that is your full-time job really as a mother now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I want to talk, about your vlogging and your hobbies, but I was hoping we could start with EVA Airlines.
Sure.
Because EVA Airlines is my favorite airline.
Thank you so much.
do you remember I did a commercial for EVA Airlines?
Yes, that's for the Christmas part. Yeah. It's so touching. That video is like my favorite video.
It's so cool that you know that. And I'm sorry you also had to watch that for like 6 months. But I really love that commercial. And it was for EVA Airlines. And so I was hoping, you can share a little bit about, first of all, what is an airline dispatcher? And then we can go into some more questions.
Okay, sure. So as a dispatcher, my job is to make sure the flight can be conducted legally. So that means the flight route has been filed and approved by the air traffic controller in different countries because you will pass a lot of countries. And the weather conditions are satisfactory for the flight. And the airplane condition is good and serviceable. And finally, we will determine the required amount of the fuel for the flight. So when the pilots come in to check all the documents before the flight, I join them for the briefing and making sure everything is correct and the pilots are agree with the flight plan so they can go. And to me, I think it's a really heavy responsibility on my part because although I'm not flying the airplane itself, but I think my job is important in keeping everyone safe in the sky.
Nice breakdown there of dispatch. Yeah, so kind of to sum that up, you are like Google Maps for the sky.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you're helping pilots navigate from, let's say, Taipei to Los Angeles and all the flight space that they go through, all the weather patterns that they might experience. And that's so, so important.
Yeah, that's what we do every day.
That's awesome. And something cool about this is, you're doing this all in English because you're dealing with Taiwanese pilots, but also you're dealing with a lot of expat pilots.
Exactly. Like 1/4 our pilots are coming from the other countries. So I will say that English is a common language in the aviation industry. And I'm required to communicate with the crew in English as well. So all our documents and flight plans are made in English as well. So that's why English is really important for my job.
Yeah, I think it's so cool, Emily. And, we've talked a little bit now as we've got to know each other. And, I got to fly to Catalina with a Cessna 172. And flying is becoming a really fun hobby. And you mentioned off air, you have a long history. Your family is all in aviation. So is that how you became interested in becoming a dispatcher?
Actually, I think yes, because I'm coming from a family full of aviators. It starts from my grandfather to his two sons, my dad and my uncle. Yeah, so that's for sure. I think the aviation, you can say aviation is in my blood. I'm pretty sure they influence my career choice a lot.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool. And you are balancing it now very well because even though, like you said, you don't fly the planes, it gives you actually a lot of freedom then to still do many of your other hobbies and passions, which are, like you said, now you're doing a lot of vlogging and you're helping people understand what it's like to be a mother, right? So can you share a little bit maybe about what you're doing with your blog?
Well, yes, right now I'm trying to combining all my hobbies together, which is cooking, traveling, and parenting. And also I will share about something about my job as well on my blog. So I will say it's a platform that I will give people a little bit what my passion is and would share it with my audience.
Yeah, and it's so cool because it's a lot of tips and advice really about, what you're dealing with as a mother and as a wife and as a career woman in aviation.
It sounds really hard, right?
It sounds cool. It sounds pretty badass, we might say, yeah. And it's really cool too because your husband is a pilot for EVA Airlines, is that correct?
Yes, he's a pilot right now and that's why he moved back to Taiwan for this job.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that I can get to meet him in the future.
Sure,
and
no
talk
problem.
to him more about his story because he has a really fun story too.
Yes, he is a perfect story for you because he's bilingual, and I think it's hard for him to learn English when he moved to States, but it's hard for him to go grab the Chinese back when he moved back to Taiwan.
Yeah. Very interesting stories. And I want to share a little bit about your story with that too. But it's so cool because I'm just picturing you at work. You're talking to so many different pilots from all over the world. Can you share a little bit about your job, your day-to-day with the many pilots throughout the world?
Well, we do have a lot of chance need to talk to them. And as like what I say, they are all from a different country. So our common language is English. But I do know that a lot of pilots in our company came from Latin America. So that actually gave me the reason to learn Spanish. And I like to talk to them using my poor Spanish. I start from, Hola, ¿cómo estás? And then they reply me in a really, really fast Spanish. The Spanish you talk really, really fast. And then I will tell them, okay, just stop there. And let's move back to English part.
Yeah, that's so cute. And it's so fun that you are such a people person like that. I'm so happy that you found this job because, you're probably speaking English with all your pilots, but you know that many of them, English is not their first language.
Yes, exactly. So I think when I talk to them and start from like hola, like in their language, they are actually really happy because like all my colleagues probably just tell them, just speak English with them. But when you heard your mother tongue, your mother language from in another country, you'll feel like you're like back to home.
Yeah, that's very warm. Yeah, I can imagine. I hope some of them say 你好 to you.
Yes, they do say, a lot of pilots do say like 你好. And actually, sometimes their Chinese is really good. So my colleague once told me that probably don't say some bad words behind them because they actually understand what you're talking about.
Yes, that is a very good advice for everyone. You
Yeah.
never know who knows your language.
Exactly.
So be careful. That's awesome. Well, a question I love to ask here on NG Ingwen is thinking a little bit about your future. Have you given thought to kind of what you want to be focusing on, let's say, in 2022 and beyond?
I'll definitely want to keep my career working on. But at the same time, I want to still working on the project that combine all my hobbies together and find more time to do the vlog and blog things. But I found it's really hard because I have a son right now and he keeps me really busy. And it's hard for me to find a balance between the job and family and my passion. But I'm working on it. Yeah, but if you want to check more about my things, you can come to check my blog, Everything About Emily.
Yeah, so cool. Everything about Emily. And you share all your fun life balancing right there. The balancing act of being a career woman, a mother, a wife, and having passions. And I think that's so cool too, because it's kind of like you have side hustles, you know, this kind of buzzword in English we call side hustles. And yeah, your side hustles are, you know, you're vlogging, you're baking, you're raising your child.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I try to be a superwoman in my life.
You're doing great. You're doing great. And I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
访谈上半段一开始，这边来宾 Emily 提到，她其实呢本身就是我们节目的忠实听众，每个星期三的上班路上都会固定打开来听，听到后来觉得也很想要来节目上跟大家分享她的故事，所以就来信跟我们联络。好，如果你有兴趣想要来节目上做分享的话呢，不要害羞，赶快跟我们说，帮你安排时间来录音哦。好，我们言归正传，刚才 Emily 不是有讲到说她在长荣服务吗？但不是空姐，也不是机长，而是一名航空签派员。好，她工作性质有点复杂，而且责任重大，但简单来说的话呢，大概就是像航空公司的飞安管家啦，好，或是像 John 说的，就是空中的 Google 地图。因为他们要负责在航班出发之前把飞机从 A 点到 B 点的路途和相关需求通通都规划好，有清楚了解，好像是天气状况啦、飞行路线、旅客状态，还有飞机航程油量等等的报告跟机长开会讨论都 OK 了之后才会起飞。而且重要的是啊，这些资讯因为常常也都要和外国机师沟通，所以英文能力也是要有一定程度。但说实在的啊，如果能够用英文以外用那些外国机长的那个母语好来跟他们沟通的话，哇，那整个就是会大大提升同事之间的感情。因为在异乡嘛，听到自己熟悉的语言，谁都蛮会开心，对不对？我每次只要有听到人在路上讲台语或者讲中文，马上就是精神都来了。像他就有遇过不少来自中南美洲的机长，所以有时候也会试着去用西班牙文跟他们打招呼。那热情的拉丁裔机长们在地球另一端听到西班牙文，有时候就是太高兴，会直接后面一连长串就继续用西班牙文跟 Emily 讲话，搞得他就会必须要赶快切换回去用英文沟通。好，这边几个字我们来听一下，一个是他的这份工作 airline dispatcher， 或是也可以说 flight dispatcher。好，就是刚才我们讲的这个航空签派员，对不对？但其实在很多其他行业也都有签派员的需求，像是警政机关、消防机关或是货运公司等等，也都会需要签派员提供相关资讯来顺利完成人员啦或是车辆的调配。如果是负责紧急状况的签派员，我们可以说 emergency dispatcher。像美国这边的话呢，就是如果你打911紧急电话，第一时间都会是签派员接电话来了解状况。那如果有需要的话呢，他们就会是你和警消这边相关人员之间的重要联系对象。另外还有像是 Railroad Dispatcher and Transportation and Services Dispatcher， 也都是常见的签派员种类，就是可能铁路的啦，或是交通运输这方面的签派员。 好，另外一个字是 ATC， 或是也可以说它全名 Air Traffic Control， 好，就是飞航管制。那刚才 John 分享说他去洛杉矶附近的那个 Catalina 小岛搭的那个轻航机，如果名字你听不清楚没关系，这边我跟你讲，就是希斯纳 Cessna 172。好，再来他也有分享到的是他的飞行世家。好，他们家呢上至爷爷下至爸爸叔叔都是在航空业服务的，所以我们会继续看到他在航空业发展也不是没有原因，甚至连他的先生呢也是机长。不过除了这份签派员的热情以外，他其实对美食对下厨也非常有兴趣，而且因为本身已经是一个孩子的妈，所以在他的社群平台上呢，除了会分享跟工作有关的事情以外，也有针对亲子教育和一些做菜的内容。那如果想要表达这种除了主要工作以外还有在另外做的兼职或是副业的话，我们除了可以用刚刚 John 说的那个 side hustle， 也可以说 side job or side gig。 有趣的是呢，这个 gig 这个说法它是在1920年代被爵士音乐家创造出来的，原本是用来表示现场音乐表演，不过现在其实也可以用来表达兼职工作的意思。好，那这段内容就先在这边告一段落，我们赶快继续听下半段的分享。
Awesome, Emily. Well, do you think we could kind of change gears right now? We could put the wheels up.
No, sure.
Oh, that was a bad aviation joke. But yeah, I would love to share a little bit about your life. So could you tell us you were born in the US, but you came back to Taiwan right away. So how about start there?
Okay, yeah, so I was born in States and I lived in there until 2 years old and I moved back to Taiwan. So I actually don't have a lot of experience of learning English in States. And I remember there was also a fun story, which is the turning point made me want to learn English. I remember when it was a time when I was in the second grade. There was one time we traveled to visit my aunt in Northern California. In the park, there was a girl at my age. She tried to make friends with me, starting to ask me what's on my hand. So I have something on my hand which is a temporary tattoo. But at that time, I didn't understand what like a single word she talked because I don't speak English at that time. And I tried to reply her, but I don't know what and how to say in English. So I remember ended up I was like doing is like running back to my mom and tell her, I want to learn English when we are back to Taiwan. And that's the point that I started my English journey.
That is so cute. Yeah, so a little girl was trying to make friends with you and you couldn't communicate. Yes. And that made you feel like, oh my goodness, I need to learn English.
Yeah, that's exactly a really, really big motivation to myself to learning English.
Wow, that's so pure. That's so wholesome. I love that. It wasn't for a job or it wasn't for...
It's all about communicate with people.
Yeah, I love that. Love that so much. And so thinking about where you are now, you've been back in Taiwan, but now your career is using Mandarin and English. So can you take us a little bit through, as you mentioned, your job now is in a lot of English and in Mandarin. What does it look like in your office with using language?
In my office, I always talk to my colleague with speak in Chinese, like 100% in Chinese. But when we have to communicate with do the brief with the expat pilot, we have to use in English, and all the flight plans and all the notice we got for the aviation is in English as well. And also sometimes we need to call the station staff from the outside station, other country. So at that time we also need to speak in English as well.
Yeah, that's important. So you're communicating with your Taiwanese coworkers in Mandarin, and then everything else is really in English.
Yes.
That's so valuable. And so what really helped you learn English over the years? As you got older, you realized you wanted to learn English, but when did it feel like it really stuck?
I think it started when I was in the senior high school. I joined the English debate club because, in Taiwan, student is really good at taking exam, but we are not good at speaking and not good at listening. So when I joined the English debate club, I kind of think that's the time my English improved a lot, because you you do the debate in English. So which means you have to listen to others, you have to think, and you have to speak in English really fast. So you can like debate with others.
So cool. You're on the debate club. So what would you guys debate about in English?
We debate on really serious subjects like death penalty.
Wow.
Or like prostitute.
Wow.
Or like the drugs things.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you have to take a side. Yeah, you have to pick a side and you have to defend it. Yeah, and
yes.
But you have to, like you said, you have to listen really intensely to what they are making their arguments for on the other side.
Yes, and you know what, Larry? I like to watch American drama, always like the legal drama.
Yeah, like Law and Order.
Yeah, I mean like law
CSI,
drama.
CSI,
or like Suits. I'm not
Suits.
sure if
I love Suits.
Yeah, I love Suits as well. But when we back to my senior high school, we don't have Suits, but we do have a lot of law dramas because law drama they always debate a lot, so I can imitate how they speak and what the word they use, and like the strong words and like I insist that blah blah blah. And make me feel like more professional.
yeah. Lots of very professional vocabulary is really taught in those shows. And so I'm really happy that, you use that as kind of a teaching aid.
Yes.
Yeah, so cool, so cool. And you were mentioning off air, you have a fun little story about when your son was born. For 8 months, you did not work. And you were saying kind of you didn't use English for 8 months. So could you tell us about that story?
Yes. When I gave birth to my son, I took 8 months leave at home and took care of him. So he's the only one I was talking to, but he didn't reply to me anything. So I don't have the chance to practice my both Chinese and English. So Chinese is still my mother tongue, so it's not really hard, like just grab it back. But English is really hard for me because when I go back to work, I find out even the really simple word that I used to use in before, I couldn't understand, like fuel or like reduce or like zero fuel weight. That's the basic word we use every day for a dispatcher. So that's the time I figure out that practice makes perfect, and practice is really important things for a language.
Yeah, that's, oh my goodness, what a real world example. Yeah, because you were talking to your son every day, but he doesn't talk back, and you're not talking to him about English that you use every day with your work, like fuel and airline and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, wow. And you realize practice makes perfect. That's a really, really good example. And everyone out there listening, don't forget that practice makes perfect. And you can even talk with yourself, but you have to reply to yourself.
Yeah, I like to do that when I was walking by the sidewalk when there's nobody there, because otherwise I will think I was like, yeah. But I like to talk to myself in English, or when you're like taking a shower. That's a really good timing for you to practice. You ask yourself a question and you reply to yourself. And then you can know that if you can understand yourself or not. Yeah,
super, super insightful. Well, unfortunately, we are coming to the end of the show here. And thank you for sharing about being a dispatcher and your passions and your journey with English, really. But a question I'd love to end NG Ingwen with is, if you could go back and talk to a younger Emily, would there be any advice you give yourself?
Yeah, I have too many, but I will just say 2. So if I have a chance to talk to my younger self, I will definitely tell her to study abroad in college, because I think that's one of the things I really wish I had done when I had the chance to. Also, I will tell her to get started with the blog and don't worry about making everything perfect, because just get started with writing everything done. That's the 2 things I want to share with her.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, studying abroad. Yeah, to get that global perspective, and writing down your blog. Not trying to make it perfect, but just helping organize your thoughts, because we have so many thoughts, and getting it down on paper or on typing is so beautiful. Awesome, Emily. Well, where can people find your blog and your social media contacts?
Well, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. My name is Everything About Emily. And if you can also Google 签派员 Emily, you can find me as well.
Awesome, Emily. Well, thank you for being our first fan to come on the show. Our honorable fan is here for the first show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Thank you for emailing us and reaching out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
节目下半段这边一开始我们听到的部分是，原来 Emily 她虽然是在美国出生，但是2岁的时候就回来台湾了，所以基本上没有什么在美国学英文的机会。那后来小2的时候，某天她跟家人到那个北加州去看亲戚，那在公园玩的时候呢，遇到当地同年龄的小朋友过来跟他玩，想要跟他交朋友啊、聊天什么的。结果呢，因为他不会讲英文而错失良机，所以在那次之后就下定决心要好好来把英文学起来。好，虽然当时没有顺利跟人家交朋友，但是现在英文能力起来了，完全能够用英文工作。除了要跟外籍机师用英文简报以外，所有跟他们航班相关的资料也都是英文呈现，可见英文能力对工作来说真的还是颇为重要。好，那讲到这边 Emily 也跟大家分享了一些她练英文的方法。除了透过我们很常听到的这个看影集的方式以外呢，她在学生时代也参加了英文辩论社，来训练自己用英文思考、用英文表达的能力，而且也会把在影集里面学到的句型用在辩论中，增加自己的流畅度。加上辩论的时候非常需要你去专心听对方在讲什么嘛，对不对？才能想出最有力的辩论来支持自己的立场，所以对听力方面也是有很大的帮助。只是真的要多练习多用，因为毕竟是第二语言，如果有一段时间没有练习了，很容易就会忘光光。像他当时育婴假请8个月都没有讲英文，结果回去上班之后发现很多基本的那个工作常用单字都不飒飒。好，所以真的要多练习。这边跟大家补充几个单字。好，这些他们刚才在节目里面是没有提到啦，不过既然讲到这个跟育婴假有关的话题，我们就来跟大家介绍一下请假的几个说法。首先，请产假我们可以说 take maternity leave， 那陪产假的话就是把 maternity 的那个 M 换成 P， 变成 paternity leave。那育婴假的话，有时候可以直接用刚才说的那个 maternity leave， 或是 parental leave 也 OK。 好，那其他像是请病假啦、请年假等等，可以说 take sick leave or take annual leave。 好，病假跟年假。最后来宾提到说，如果可以跟大学时期的自己说上话，那真的会鼓励自己把握当时那个出国念书的机会，增加一些国际视野。而且真的如果想要写部落格的话呢，那就去写，不用担心这个担心那个，就写就对了。好，那希望大家都有从这一次的内容学到一些东西。如果有兴趣的话呢，可以去追踪 Emily 她的 Instagram 还有她的那个 Vlog YouTube 频道，去了解一下他们航空业飞行签派员的工作分享哦。
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye everyone. Peace. All right. Well, that is our NG Ingwen show for today. We hope everyone enjoyed listening to that. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now Spotify. You can search NG Ingwen, or you can search on IG NG English ICRT. And don't forget to tune in every Wednesday morning from 6:30 to 7 and Wednesday night from 9 to 9:30. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
好啦，今天的节目就到这边告一段落啦，感谢各位的收听，别忘了订阅我们的 Spotify 还有 YouTube 频道哦。那喜欢我们节目的话，也要记得到 Instagram 到 IG 上追踪我们哦。如果各位有什么其他问题是想要问来宾的，也请欢迎在底下留言告诉我们，我们一定会想办法帮你问到手。好啦，那就下周在空中相会咯，拜拜。